Yeah, I know it's stupid that I even have to put that up now. Anyway, I found this video called Why I'm Against Console Upgrading, gaming discussion number 3 by Maxemole. Now, I have a differing viewpoint on this. I think that the ability to upgrade consoles would be an overall positive, not just for the console players, but for the gaming industry as a whole. And I think a lot of the reasonings that he makes in this video is flawed.
Think about why people buy consoles.
I think that the main reason is just that a lot of people don't even think about the PC as a gaming system. Luckily, the numbers are showing that more and more people are going for it. It's making more revenue now. But there's a lot of misinformation about the PC. There's a lot of misrepresentation about the PC and things about it. And I think that sticks to people. And if I had to pick a number 2 reason, it would be just the exclusives, period. Just because it has some games that aren't on PC.
Do they buy them for the exclusive games? Ease of use and quick setup?
I'm not saying you're saying this, but a very extremely popular misconception about the PC is the fact that it's hard to set up or hard to start off with, when anyone who plays on a PC can tell you that's just not true. It's almost literally as simple. You plug it into the wall, you plug it into your screen, and you turn it on.
Or how about the fact that they don't have to worry about hardware upgrading for what is ideally 6 to 8 years?
The removal of the burden of choice. It is not a positive aspect. The games will run like garbage today, they will run like garbage 5 years from now, but you don't even have the option of changing that, so we're going to call it simplicity. We're going to call it streamlined experiences. Hey, before a woman was legally allowed to vote, she didn't have to worry about who she was going to vote for.
When I buy a console, I know that every game that comes out on it is a game that I will be able to play without worrying about graphic settings and options.
Because those options have been stripped away from you. Because you don't have an option. If you cannot make a choice, then there's no choice to worry about, is there?
Now don't get me wrong. Having a new game on my gaming PC with my recently upgraded parts and all that jazz is a great feeling in its own right, but sometimes I don't have the money to upgrade.
Then don't. It's completely optional.
And I can't be sure if I'll have an optimal experience when running newer games.
If we're going to be technical, optimal means best, and there is no way you will ever have the true optimal experience, because there will always be something better. However, just because there are more better options does not at all make the experience that you have any worse. Your settings will be the same, your performance will be the same, regardless of what graphics cards or motherboards or CPUs are released tomorrow. It doesn't change what you are experiencing. It simply gives you more options that you can potentially invest in. You can strive for optimal, but you'll never get there.
That's the reason people buy consoles. It eliminates the extra step in the process, which I'm thankful for, because at the end of the day, all I want to do is play a damn video game.
You're thankful someone's taking away your ability to choose? That's an odd sentiment to have, comrade.
With all these rumors lately about a next box or a PlayStation Neo possibly in development.
Yes, a PlayStation 4.5 will be releasing this holiday season in 2016 at a suggested retail price of around $400.
You know, I can't help but be a little worried. We're about 3.5 years into the 8th console cycle. We should be just getting into the groove of things.
It takes 2.5 years for your console to get into the groove of things? That doesn't sound very good for anyone who's buying a console, especially for the purpose of longevity or future-proofness.
Instead of worrying about if we are going to have to buy a new console part in 6 months or so. I already have my gaming PC to worry about.
Really? You worry about that? That's something you worry about? What's there to worry about? Your performance isn't degrading. You're not on a timer.
My console's supposed to be my safe haven, an even playing ground, if you will.
Well, yeah, if everybody's running their games horribly, I mean, that's technically equal.
During an interview with GameSpot, corporate vice president of Microsoft Game Studios, Phil Spencer, had said that the company is building towards a future where its games consoles will be upgradable.
Good, that's excellent. I don't see how giving console players the same excellent options that PC players have always had could be a bad thing. That's fantastic. Good for him. I still hate his guts, though.
Allowing the company to keep hardware viable by incrementally increasing its power instead of replacing it with an entirely new device.
Even Phil Spencer is saying he's doing this to keep his Xbox viable. Even the people who are making the Xbox realize that it quickly becomes a non-viable gaming system as the future approaches. Don't you think that's worth some weight?
So, let me get this straight. A company that develops a console that they are trying to advertise as a worthy alternative to a PC
And failing miserably at?
is telling me that they are planning on giving said console the one thing that differentiates the two the most, which is variety in hardware.
Well, I wouldn't say that's the biggest difference between the two, but if you think that is, then fair enough. You're going to have to explain to me, though, how having a variety, how having a bunch of choices for the consumer is going to be a bad thing. How is a consumer having more choices bad? I mean, some things I guess it's bad to have a variety of. I mean, it's bad to have a variety of cancers, and it's bad to have a variety of Hillary Clintons on the ballot. But the idea that it will be bad for the consumer to have more choices is going to be a pretty hard sell.
Why should I buy an upgrade for my Xbox when I can just have the superior experience both graphically and performance-wise on my PC?
That's a very good question, and that should have put this entire argument to rest right there. Why should you upgrade your Xbox when you have a PC? Well, if you don't have a PC, there's much more of an incentive for you to upgrade the only thing you have instead of upgrading the worst option between the two that you have. Answer your own question, and you'll get the real reason why this isn't a bad thing. Why should you have to upgrade? Well, you don't have to upgrade. You shouldn't have to. Because you don't have to. It's just an option.
To me, this idea literally goes against the biggest reasoning for people to be buying consoles.
The fact they're ignorant about the PC, the exclusives.
I'm going to assume that Microsoft and Sony are not so stupid as that they would be dividing their communities, so they're probably going to make it so that games will run on both the upgraded and standard versions of their consoles.
Yes, absolutely. Of course they will run on both. One will just run them a little better.
Though this would dampen the blow a bit if these rumors about upgraded consoles are true, which I really believe they are.
No, it would dampen the blow entirely.
I must reiterate that it still defeats the point of buying a console in the first place.
Does it make the console's exclusives go away? Does it make their relative easiness to install go away? Does it make their somewhat better portability go away? This doesn't destroy any advantage, either real or imagined, that a console might have over a PC. If anything, this gives to the console a benefit that the PC has. I understand your point. The point is, this lessens the reason for you to buy a console, but that's good. That's a good thing. The console is better in a lot of ways, and one of them is just for the sheer fact that it is better for consumers. If this has the effect of getting more people to consider the PC as a gaming platform, I fail to see how that is a bad thing.
As I've talked about previously, Microsoft has been pushing an enhanced and unified experience if one has both the Xbox One and a Windows 10 PC, with the biggest push in the area coming in the form of cross-play between the two networks.
I don't know if that's the biggest push that Microsoft's making in the attempt to unify everything. I would say that the biggest thing that they're doing is, Windows 10. But yes, cross-play is a part of it.
But why try unifying two platforms if in the end they perform exactly the same functions?
Why unify two platforms? Because it's impossible to unify a singular object. By definition, you have to have at least two things in order to unify them. However, I think unifying them is really not so much of an accurate term as is making them both much more compatible with one another. Then they'll have two things to sell based around the same idea to sell to two different sets of consumers who might prefer one over the other. It's the same reason why Chevy makes both a Chevy Malibu and a Chevy Cruze, which are actually deceptively fun to drive in manual. It's the same reason why Nvidia has a 960 and a 980 Ti. Microsoft isn't trying to compete with itself. They're trying to offer consumers two different yet similar options to appeal to the widest amount of people possible.
I'm no marketing expert, but I would imagine that the best way to sell two similar products is to push the individual advantages of each platform, and why having both provides the best overall experience for the consumer.
Well, sort of, but there's a lot of caveats, and there's a lot of other factors that go into it. and not all products are the same. You even list a console bonus as being future-proof, which you even put in quotes yourself, not because I think you realize it, but that's a really loaded sort of term. Like when you say streamlined experience. Well, hell, a hallway that only goes forward and back is a streamlined travel experiences, but I'd much rather have a hallway that has a lot of doors and places to explore. Streamlined is a buzzword. It's a loaded PR term for simplified, dumbed down, quicker, easier. All these things are not universal goods or bads. But getting back to pushing their individual advantages, you said yourself, if one of the most important things they're doing is to create a cross-platform system, to create an environment where the PC and the console can be used with one another in a gaming environment, then wouldn't it be better to give people who opt for a console experience, to give themselves a machine, optionally, of course, that can perhaps better compete with the PC? If I was on a console, and I hated the PC, and I knew that I could play with people on PC, and that's something I wanted to do, then I would want to have the strongest hardware possible. And let's take a company like Glock, who has interchangeability on a lot of their different handguns, for instance, though each one has its own benefits and drawbacks. They give the consumer a variety of options that they best feel comfortable with. Just like how Microsoft might say, yeah, you can buy your PC and play on Windows 10 or whatever Windows you want, and you can use that as your gaming experience, or you could choose between these consoles and decide for yourself which one you'd like the best, or which one to you has the best value. But let's go back to this bit here.
And why having both provides the best overall experience for the consumer.
That's extremely subjective. Take me, for instance. I would never buy an Xbox. I have a PC. Why would I have an Xbox? What can my Xbox do that my PC cannot do? What would an Xbox do for my overall experience to make it better? What would an Xbox do to make me enjoy my gaming experience more if I already have a PC? All it would do is give me another thing to put money into. Microsoft is not marketing the idea that you can upgrade your console to PC players. This is a central idea here that I think you're missing. Microsoft is marketing this to people who have consoles and consoles only and don't want a PC. In no way will the upgradability of consoles in the future have a negative impact on people who don't want to upgrade. You might argue, though, that it'll be more difficult for them because other people are playing with better frame rates and resolutions, but the differences there are normally so much smaller that I would call it negligible.
We are lucky, though, these rumors will turn out to be false, and we can all be happy with our platforms of choice.
Yeah, what a horrible thing to say. If we're lucky, we will not be given the ability to choose as consumers?
We can then sit down, relax, and just enjoy our video games.
Well, it's not your place to tell other people what they can and cannot enjoy and what they will and will not enjoy. There is no way I would enjoy playing a 720p game at 30 frames per second. I would hate that. It would be awful. But a lot of people enjoy their Xbox Ones regardless of the fact that it runs at 720p and 30 frames a second. People's enjoyment is subjective. It varies from person to person. And I fail to see why giving each person the ability to tailor their hardware to what they would personally enjoy is a bad thing. No one's taking away anything from anybody.
Isn't that the point of video games anyways? To enjoy them?
Well, yes, so why would you want a company to dictate that the only way you can enjoy a video game is one option? If the point of video games is to enjoy them, then wouldn't you want people to have an option as to just how those video games play and run? The whole idea to this video is explaining why you think that options for the consumer are a bad thing. And not once in this video do you actually justify that sentiment.